All right.
I'm good to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And I don't know why I even say ladies. It's mostly gentlemen. Welcome back to Two Dudes, One Car. Parker, great to see you, dude. Thank you so much for making
see you too.
Dude, thank you for making the drive. I know it's a pain in the ass.
Dude, you can thank Elon. I clicked one button and we are here.
Hey, I always say, Elon, take the wheel.
I also say that.
Do you?
Yeah. I will say I have like 0.5% battery. So we'll see if at the end of this podcast I still can even move from there to your garage.
To park it in here? Yeah, don't worry. We got you. We got you. If not, Sergio can carry it with his pedophile mustache. It's not a big deal. He's very strong.
The mustache, is that strong? Or the mustache makes him stronger?
Both things together. Right. He's really strong, but with a pedophile mustache, he becomes stronger than ever. So today, for everyone that's watching, and by the way, thank you so much for the feedback on the first episode. We haven't even launched the second episode.
Yeah.
And the feedback is great. I'm excited.
If the feedback is horrible on the second episode, we apologize. We haven't been able to
check it out.
To adapt. One point of feedback is that I've been wearing the same pair of red Human Race shoes for 7 years. So I switched shoes this one.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're like, well, he can't afford a $50 pair of shoes. He's got these cars. So
you're like, no,
I just like those. I think it's a testament to Pharrell Williams and Adidas that they lasted that long.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they're comfortable.
Bravo. If I had a product that lasted that long, people wanted to wear for so long, I'd be proud of that shit.
I mean, I've never had that.
Me either. Hopefully one day, though. Either way, today we have a pretty good podcast. I have a few questions to ask you because most of this is basically, aside from Sergio, I have no one else to talk to about all these dumb things that hunt me at night.
Yeah.
And one of those things is electric cars. I want to know your take on electric cars. Do you like them? Do you not? What do you think if it's going to be the future, if it's not? Because Porsche just announced the brand new Macan EV. And I want to talk about it. I want to know what you think about the way it looks. It's fucking incredible. And then I also want to talk about Tesla. I want to talk about the recalls because they just recalled 200,000 cars. I want to get your opinion on how they're doing this, how they're managing like the PR, what you're getting maybe on your end compared to mine, because we read different things.
Yeah.
Right? So you never know what the narrative is on your end, on my end. So I want to put that out there. I also want to ask you if you've invested in any car makers whatsoever. Like if you're investing in stocks, are you investing in Ford? Are you investing in Stellantis? Are you investing in my balls? Any of those things. That's what I'm going to ask you.
Is my balls a ticker? That could be. I'd probably invest in that. But yeah, starting with the electric cars. So I think that electric cars get an unnecessary amount of hate. As somebody who is a genuine car enthusiast that was not an instant adopter of electric cars. I actually originally, this is like 2012, Fisker's coming out and Tesla's coming out with the Model S and the Fisker Karma.
Well, but Fisker was saying he was going to do one thing and then he did something else.
True. So in the beginning, I was like this Fisker, like I want to see that brand succeed because their design was super sexy.
Yeah.
The whole thing fell apart. Electronics sucked. I test drove one right when it came out, and it broke during the test drive. And I was like, that, I mean, you can't write that.
By the way, hybrids, fucking Toyota's got him down.
Yeah.
Why didn't my guy just ask anybody that was making hybrids at the time,
yeah.
Hey, by the way, how do you do this?
Because just make a Prius that looks like the Fisker Karma, and it would have been successful, genuinely.
This is what I'm saying. Because he created the worst hybrid of all time, too. Yeah. And people don't give him enough credit for that. When I first drove it, I drove it when he went bankrupt, and he was transitioning into whatever he's doing now, and he wanted to steal the name. I can't remember what he did. But the brand was Chinese. So Chinese people reach out to a friend of mine, and they're like, hey, do you want to drive the new Fisker? It's like, fuck yeah. Because I knew it was terrible. I was like, I want to show people how terrible it is.
Yeah.
So I drove it, and I was like blown away by how horrendous it was. Like, I made the video, and in the video, I'm just talking shit left and right. Not because I want to, because it's legitimately the worst car ever.
And was that when it was the Karma Rivera? That was after it went out, and then they rebranded, didn't work?
Absolutely. Well, no, you can't do it. The problem was the car.
It was the same car with a different name.
I don't know what they were like, well, now because we paint the logo and it looks like the sun.
Loved the logo. because they invited me to drive it too, and it was like a hard sell. They're like, "Do you see this logo? This circle with some stuff in the circle? Yeah, hand painted, just genius design."
They have the old guy right there that's hand painting every single fucking.
Yeah, you got to
logo.
cling to your strengths. The car sucked ass, but the logo is
hand painted. It was unbelievable. And so they give me the car. And by the way, doing positive reviews is always way better than doing a negative one.
yeah.
Because the car maker gets mad at you, then other people look at it and you're like, you're just a hater. And it just doesn't do as well. Like, whereas a lot of people think that you're just talking shit for views. No, you get more views when you just say everything is great, right? Like that.
Well, I don't know. I will say that my channel kind of blew up from the 5 things I hate about.
But
series.
those are interesting because you used to point out things that no one knew about these things.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's so much information.
Yeah, if you're just
around.
purely hating on the car to hate on the car, it's like
it's not good.
It's already been written.
Exactly.
Everyone's hated on Tesla. I'm not.
Oh, absolutely. So I wanted to tone it down. And I really wanted to understand about this fucking car, and it was terrible, dude. All around was terrible. And the people they saw the video. They called me and they're like, "We're gonna sue you, dude."
No, they did not.
Oh yeah. They were like, "How dare you? We didn't know that we were giving you the car so you can talk trash about it." I was like, "You gave me the car to talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say when the car is shit, dude?"
No, genuinely, sue you over what?
Well,
honest feedback? It wasn't a hit piece.
They were saying that I did it with ill intention, and honestly, I solved it like this because I felt so bad for my friend that was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is the deal. I don't think Joe needs to be in the middle of this. If you guys want to sue me, you should sue me. That's perfectly fine. That'll give me more content and more ways to fucking destroy you guys because your car is shit."
No, that would look bad on them too. They sue you because you're giving genuine, like, this car isn't that great, and it was not.
And this is what I was saying. At that time, there were companies, specifically because of the electric stuff, hiring me to get, like, download information from all of the electric car companies that I had, like, the pleasure of meeting. So I was like, and I'll tell you this, I'm giving you feedback on it, like what you should do to make it better.
Yes, fix it.
So I should send you a fucking invoice.
Yeah, 100%. The opposite. Let me sue you for not sending the invoice.
You should have heard the woman on the phone was like, "I'm sorry, you want to charge me for bashing me?" I was like, "I was not bashing you. I was giving you feedback."
100%.
So either way, that Fisker was never a real thing, but it came out at the same time that the Tesla came out. And I remember that rivalry, and I remember that Leonardo DiCaprio invested in Fisker, unfortunately.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
dude. Because DiCaprio's all sustainable and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
So remember that the Fisker had like wood inside, and the wood was sustainable in some way, and then there was the crystal. So I bet he got DiCaprio with the crystals and the sustainability.
Is that like a tier that you reach? You become so famous and successful that your Instagram becomes a sustainability page?
Yes.
I think I've
By the
noticed
way,
that you get enough followers and money, and you are just some sort of propaganda.
I think it's
How do we get there?
well, this is what I was gonna say. People will know we're rich. We're not gonna tell anyone, but there'll be signs.
Yeah.
And the signs will be our page will become a sustainable.
Exactly. We'll have
bullshit
no
monologue.
internal combustion engine cars publicly.
None.
But privately.
None. I remember when I was very rich, I just wanted to go all electric. So I remember that the first time I got there.
So regarding the all electric stuff, I think they get an unnecessary amount of hate, but I was kind of in that boat of I don't know
wanna
how to feel
your
about this.
evolution through the process of thought of that.
So they come out with the Plaid, and as somebody who likes ignorantly fast cars, it's hard to deny 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, and the car doesn't cost $4 million, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get this car. It was the first time ever that I've got a car for content and YouTube. A lot of people buy cars with the mindset of how will this do on
like
YouTube.
Lamborghinis.
They do great.
Lamborghinis are like the YouTube car.
Exactly, which is,
Understood.
like I own this McLaren. McLaren's not the best at YouTube. The SEO isn't there, but personally, I love the car, so I really don't care
Same.
about the views.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get an electric car to both learn what it's like to live with it, because it's one thing to have a press car for a week or to have it for a day or two. It's another thing to live with it. So I was like, you know what is this gonna be like? And it's fast. I'll probably get the car, sell it in a month or two, whatever. 2 years later, I still have it. Now, I have my gripes with the car, but...
So wait. Before that, so during all this period of time that went on, from the time that Fisker and Tesla came out at the same time, you were never curious, you never gave a shit, you never had an opinion until you bought yours?
I reviewed a couple and were excited about how fast they were. I definitely wasn't a Tesla hater. I mean, I've invested in Tesla. I know we're going to talk about that later, since 2014.
Damn.
Something like that. So I believed the company would be successful, which feels independent from whether I super like the car or not, obviously. But it never appealed to me enough to go, nah, I want a sedan daily driver that doesn't have any noise or soul. And I think the biggest thing that people hate on electric cars, because at first it was, oh, the range isn't acceptable. Well, that's not a problem anymore. And then it was the charging takes too long.
Well, hang on, it's not a problem for Tesla.
Yeah. That's definitely another topic for sure. Then charging isn't that big of a deal, once again, if it's a Tesla. If it's not a Tesla, we'll talk about the Macan. It's going to be interesting. But then it became, okay, those are fine. Oh, it has no soul. It just sucks. Like, so I don't really understand the similarities between Gingers and electric cars, but people have...
Is that how you looked at it? You were like, this is the Ginger of the electric car.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't start the Gingers have no soul thing.
But that's what I'm saying, the soulless version of the car. You were like this.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to... My previous daily driver before the Tesla was an E63. So it had a V8. It was loud. It was fast. It was angry. And there's definitely a lot of times where I'm like, okay, I'd rather be in that car than the Tesla. But it drives itself. Like for today, coming over here, I clicked one button practically, and I appeared at your place.
That's still transportation. We're not talking about conspiracy theories in this one. This is a different podcast. This is the one about cars.
We should do that would be fun.
I know all of them, by the way.
I bet you do.
I'm
not surprised at all.
I've been studying like all this shit because someone like I have a channel where I do lives every day, and people have been bringing up stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for it, like to understand more of what they're talking about. It's fucking incredible.
I've got a friend that's gone so off the deep end with conspiracy theories. It's unbelievable. I look at his Instagram or Snapchat stories, and it's just only his friends. He's not trying to reach anyone.
Yeah, no.
And it's unfreaking. Every time the clouds look a little bit off, he's like,
"Do you
guys know what normal clouds look like? Because this is not right."
We'll talk about that later. So at this point, how do you feel about the electric car as a whole? Now that you have this Tesla, it drives you here. You were like, oh, I wish I had an AMG type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is your opinion on them right now?
I think it serves its purpose for a lot of people, and then there's certain aspects that it doesn't serve its purpose. Could I have it as my only car? No freaking way.
Okay.
But to have a loud, angry McLaren to drive around when I want to drive, like I'm going out to drive specific roads to do something, go out with friends, go to car shows, that's great. And if I want to just appear to a next place for transportation where you don't necessarily need to enjoy it. You're just going through traffic. It's easy. It's just the easiest thing to drive and just park and forget about it.
This is really interesting to me because I've never experienced a Nevera, and I saw your video with the Nevera.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about owning, for example, something like a Nevera? Which is incredibly fast. For people that don't know what a Nevera is, that is kind of like a Bugatti.
Yeah.
And by the way, same guy that makes the Bugattis right now, Mate Rimac, is making the Nevera. It's an electric car that has 2,000 horsepower. It goes from 0 to 16 like 1.5 seconds or some crazy shit. So what is that like?
So this one's difficult because I really like Mate Rimac. Genius. I had dinner with him, and he's like a cool ass dude.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know. He has some project. Probably shouldn't mention that. So if you have the money to buy a Rimac Nevera, I think you probably have enough money to buy other cars. So would I buy it if I was other hypercars, excuse me.
Yes.
Obviously, if you have $4 million to buy the car, you can buy other cars. But I think as my only hypercar, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could have a Tesla and then have a Rimac Nevera and not have any sound or drama.
Need an engine.
I would need an engine. But the people who have Rimac Neveras, from what I've seen, the couple owners I've met, they've got other hypercars. So to go out and experience, I've never experienced in a level of acceleration like that. I've been in a 2,000 plus wheel horsepower, twin turbo, underground racing Lambo, Bugatti Chirons, every Koenigsegg, and nothing pulls like that fucker. It was, and drag times, Brooks, right?
Yeah.
He's been in a million fast cars, and both of us were looking at each other like, what is this thing? The Tesla Plaid is fast, but this
Oh, no.
I mean, you start like losing vision, and it pulls the blood through your veins as you're driving.
It's like a fighter jet, dude.
Yeah,
You know the
yeah.
videos when you see someone like pulling the G's and then the person like
Yeah.
and then passing out.
No, I'm sure it is similar to that.
Because I remember I drove the Concept One
Yeah.
while we were in Pebble Beach,
Uh-huh.
and it was like someone punching you in the gut whenever
Yeah.
you accelerated. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. But to me is, I do need, and I agree with you. You want something special, make sure it's a gas car. And years ago, fucking years ago, when I had like that podcast, the Let's Talk About Cars, I said, most likely we're going to see a future with electric cars, and only certain people will be able to take their gas cars and drive them out under a permit. I think that's where the future is.
As
Sadly,
long as we can qualify for that permit, and the viewers, I love that idea.
I'll be honest with you, viewers. You got to be rich as fuck to start qualifying for these things. So go get your paper.
That or
Go
like
get
you should have
papered
a
up.
you should have a driver's test level 3. I mean, because there are people, I don't know. The
think
driver's
they're gonna-
test does not feel like it's adequate enough to assess that you can be on the road, because there are some people where it just blows my mind. If you have to be, maybe take some defensive driving, track driving classes, and then you can qualify to drive your own car. Everyone else is autonomous. That's the fucking enthusiast dream.
I agree. And that's and I do think we're going to go towards that. I legitimately think so. I think the electric car is here to stay. To me, my experience with it was like this. I had back then I had a 918 Porsche 4.0, the 997 one, right? Like fucking beautiful.
Yeah, incredible.
GT3 4.0. The 918, and I bought a Model X, the Tesla. And I remember thinking, it's incredible to have like the full engine of the 4.0 and like manual and like analog as fuck. But the 918 is way cooler as a hybrid.
Of course.
Like, it's awesome having the V10 just go brrr right behind your ear, and the speed that you could achieve, because they focused on the maximum torque at the beginning of the power band instead of like towards later. So that's why the 918s accelerated so fast and then it died down. Was awesome.
This is when you've owned too many Porsches that you think the 918 is a V10. Your
I-
Carrera GT was the V10. The 918
It's
is a V8.
I'm sorry. But it's
I
still,
wish I had that problem. God damn.
it made so much fucking noise. It was beautiful.
It honestly sounds like it's such a gnarly free revving V8 that it sounds more exotic than 8 cylinders.
Yeah, no. And listen, I don't remember anything, so please hit me with anything you want. Like, I appreciate the correction, because I did for some, like, until right now, I don't know why I remembered it like being a V10. But no, that V8 sounded incredible.
It did, yeah.
And it was very different from the Carrera GT experience. And I'm not even going to
100%.
mention the Carrera GT experience in here. So I felt like from my 4.0 to the 918, there was a big jump.
Yeah.
Like a big jump
yeah.
in shit that happened to the cars.
Yeah.
Because it was instant torque. It made me a better driver. It felt safe. It felt easy. It was simple. But yet, when you wanted to go nuts, like on a track, it felt, even though it was on rails, it was dangerous because it was too much. And then from there, I got my Model X. And to me the Model X is the perfect car. It's simple. It's fast as fuck. It's starting to drive itself. It's got all these different things that feel solid. So it feels to me like the evolution of the phone. How we went from like the phones that were like
Yeah.
like those dial, like the dial ones with the big fucking wheels, to the little cell phones that were analog. Remember the super tiny Motorola? That to me is the 918. And then the electric car was the iPhone. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the final, it feels like that's the final product.
It's interesting how fast, I mean, electric cars have been around since the early 1900s. Maybe the first one was in the late 1800s. I could be wrong.
The electric
But
car?
then-
The electric car was first.
Yeah. So late 1800s. But there wasn't, it disappeared for who knows what reason. I mean, there's reasons, and
Well, how the
whole
fuck do you
gas
charge
industry
it?
and oil and whatnot and
That
charging.
too.
But it feels like the advancements that happen in the electric car world are gnarly compared to the internal combustion engine. So it is like that iPhone effect where it's like every year or
Exponential.
two, it's just coming out with a new thing, which is both amazing and it does what it does to our car values, where it's like, all right, the Plaid doesn't matter anymore. There's like 10 more motors and like 5 times the range.
I actually think...
Although we're getting like reaching the upper limit. It feels like where there's not as gnarly advancements anymore. You haven't seen an electric car come out that goes, we have triple the range as the Plaid and it's twice as fast.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Not right now, but you're on the verge of that window within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Like you're about to hit it, break it, and go into 600-mile range on everything, and it'll be fucking crazy. And fast charging.
I think the charging is where they need to expedite things. I think the range, like in my car, I don't feel like I need more range. I guess it would be a benefit. But if they can get charging down to the same time it takes to fill up at a gas station, then it's like, come on.
And by the way, they're not that far. They really aren't that far away from that. So, and Elon was a visionary, and obviously he created all these new gas stations. But I know people, like I have friends that have gas stations, like hundreds of gas stations in different countries. And you would, like, when this was all happening, we would tell them, dude, you should invest in car chargers. You're going to make a fortune. And to people that have gas stations, it was like basically a Catholic person hearing about the devil. Like, you should worship the devil. And they were like, are you kidding me? I'm never going to put that shit in here, blah, blah, blah. So at least Elon took the leap of faith, and now every other car maker is starting to grab on into his infrastructure and everything that he built. So you're going to start seeing Rivian now this year, along with, I believe, Ford and others being able to use the charging stations from Tesla, which is, by the way, incredible that he did that. But that also left a lot of gaps in development for a lot of companies. And a lot of companies, in my view, are actually going to start to struggle. And I want to jump into the company thing, but not before I jump into the Macan EV. So the Macan EV was just announced.
Yeah.
We're talking about EVs. Porsche is one of those brands that actually got ahead of the curve and ahead of the trend. And they invested before anyone else, acquiring Rimac, right? Like investing in Rimac and all that stuff, into the electric cars. They created the Taycan. They created the same Taycan Gran Turismo, or the crossover one.
Turismo. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So cool.
And now they have the Macan EV. The Macan is one of the best-selling cars that they've ever built. They're smaller SUV rather than the Cayenne. And on this one, they came out with the announcement that they were going to do it fully electric, and this was going to have a 370-mile range car, which that's incredible compared to the 200 miles that the fucking Taycan can.
Yeah, and that was realistically, I love the Taycan. It drives great. It looks great.
Is it Taycan?
Taycan.
I have no idea.
I genuinely don't know. I've heard it so many different ways. But the range was not 200 miles. I mean, my friend had a Taycan Turbo S, and it would get 110, 125 if you were driving it spiritedly. So it made the car almost useless, even though it was awesome.
They're so cheap now.
So it drove better than any Tesla, but it certainly didn't have the power. But I could get over the acceleration just because of the looks.
Yeah.
But the range was useless.
The looks and the materials, because also you're getting the Porsche, and you're like, this is
it's
proper
nicer
car.
by a lot.
Yes.
The Macan, I've seen a lot of people hating on the design. I like the way it looks, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sergio was like, it looks like a balloon.
People are saying it's like a bubble or a balloon, but
I like it.
I think they did a great job. I think where manufacturers go wrong is like Mercedes, they take the S-Class and then they make the EQS. And it's like, wait, it looked okay. And then you just fucked it.
Why?
What you wanted to make it electric, and then you ruined the look of it. Just make it look the same.
So I want to ask you right now. Before that, let me give you people a little more stats on the Macan EV. So it's a 370-mile range car. The turbo one, which is the electric, it's $105,000. And you can spec it up to another $55,000 to $60,000. So altogether, if you get like an insanely loaded, will be $160,000. But then you need to go crazy.
That's an expensive Macan.
But you gotta tick every single option. That would be nuts.
Yeah, you can quadruple the price of a Porsche with some
options.
The seatbelts are just a different color.
Like Ferraris, dude. Same shit. Like I actually think everyone went nuts with that.
Yeah, 100%.
They went. The manufacturers went crazy. Now you look at a sticker and they're like, "Well, you got wheels, didn't you? Well, you also got tires, so you got to pay for the tires. Oh, you need air on the tires. Well, you got to pay for the air on the tires too."
They do that literally with certain lower end cars where they try to upsell you on having nitrogen in
I
the
know.
tires, and
On
they
Fords.
actually charge you more for the air in the tires.
I've seen that on
It's
stickers.
like you're charging 30 grand. Just put the fucking nitrogen in the tires for free, okay?
Don't be a fucking
Yeah.
dickwad. And
Yeah.
they're going fucking over.
Craziest option
mental.
I've seen recently, the Dodge Demon 170, the like fastest car in the world. I drove it. It
And by
can't
the
do-
way-
it can't do 0 to 60 for shit. The sunroof, 10,000. What?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one
Yeah,
more time?
the sunroof on a Challenger that just has a lot more horsepower, $10,000.
Why?
They apparently, I don't know if this is like fully what they were doing, but I watched this Jay Leno episode where one of the people from Dodge was there, and they were like, "Oh, we lose money on every carbon fiber wheel package we sell, 11,500. So
That's pretty good.
So to recoup it, the idiots that buy the sunroof are gonna make up for the price that we lose because who's paying 10K for a sunroof?
How does that make any sense?
I don't know.
And by the way, I'm sure that's like the YSAC package for that shit.
Yeah, it's probably the number one option.
Like, if you got that already, you're like, whoa, this
Yo,
dude,
whoa.
he's like rolling in dough.
yeah, 100%. That thing opens? Damn.
Crazy. And the last thing that they're adding to the Macan is the rear wheel steering, which
Nice.
to the Macan EV. I think that's really, really nice. So all in, I'm all about these brands making like their regular cars, electric cars. But here's something, and I want to jump into it right now. We both were Mercedes owners.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Mercedes right now?
No.
Me neither. Why? Why don't you have a Mercedes right now?
I feel like recently, since the last Mercedes I had was a 2018 E63, and since then, other than the GT Black Series and I guess the AMG 1, which I can't even comprehend being able to afford, there hasn't been anything
hang on, not with inflation.
Well, yeah. I mean, without inflation,
What the fuck?
would have had three
So
of them.
easy.
But there's been no real Mercedes that have excited me. Like, I've had an S-Class and an E63. The new S-Class, love the interior. The exterior is okay at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
happened to
I
the-
miss my E63, to be honest. It was a lease and it ran out.
Have you driven an AMG GT Black Series?
Yeah, pretty good.
Like, but how would you compare it? Would you get that instead of a GT3 RS, the new one?
No.
Would you get that instead of a 765 LT?
Yeah, no.
Would you get that instead of a fucking STO?
Still no, yeah.
That's a problem,
It's hard.
no?
It's hard.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mercedes has really fucked up their entire lineup. I don't understand if it was Tobias that left and really that void has not been filled. But man, the cars that they're making, they remind me of the German Toyota.
Hey, that's interesting.
It's just a good
Like
car.
a German Lexus.
Awesome, I understand. Cool, but I don't give a fuck about it. And I don't understand where that they went in that direction. Right now, I look at the S-Class. I want to get a stupid... I'm thinking about getting a Bentley. I'm thinking about getting like something nice. But like, for example, the Phantom right now, it's super expensive.
Yeah.
It makes no sense for the car that you're getting
Yeah.
to pay the prices. But like Bentleys are really punished. That's where I see an opportunity, right? For $400,000, you can buy one for $200,000, $180,000. That's
Yeah.
crazy. The
100%.
amount of value that you're getting, and it's a Volkswagen. Mercedes kind of went plastic. They went into the level that BMW did, I want to say in 2010. Because BMW was really hot in the early 2000s, and then it lost steam. I know that you're a BMW enthusiast, and a lot of people like the M3s and the this, but
BMW is a little meh right now, too.
it used to be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And now it's like meh. So, what do you think is going on with Mercedes? What would you attribute this loss of interest from most of us to get a Mercedes? Because I really wonder, why the fuck do I not want a Mercedes right now? I used to
don't
have
know.
over 70
I'm
AMGs.
wondering if they're just trying to maximize profits and come up with a car that can sell to the widest range of audience. I don't know if that's for sure the case, but to me, it feels like a lot of the cars are a bit too safe. And then they were trying to, which is not really their fault with EPA regulations, downsize the engines, go to 6 cylinders and 4 cylinders. I think they got enough backlash on that to where now they're saying the new E63 will come with a V8.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Really? So see,
I think
this could be
I
it.
think in when the hybrid new gen cars come out, it could be a game changer. All they have to do is make a. We've got a guest here on the podcast. Hello? All they have to do is make a 1,000 horsepower hybrid twin turbo V8, and I think it's game over. If it
I
looks
think
cool.
so too, because all like in the Mercedes, dude, one of the most legendary cars that we had was like the pop-ups, like with the GLE 63 AMG.
Yeah.
When the E63 that you had, like the sound that those cars made, even the S63 in that generation.
Yeah.
Like right now, the S-Class design is so boring.
Yeah, I do love the way the interior looks. I always
Interiors have always been great.
They just kill it with the interiors.
Yeah.
And when the generation of E63 and S-Class that I had came out, I went, this is revolutionary. How do they top this? And then they came out with the current gen. I'm like, you know what? This might be better.
On the interior.
On the interior. On the outside, they went the opposite direction.
Okay, so in this equation, how much do you attribute to wanting to buy a car to the way it looks versus the way that it looks inside, like on the exterior versus interior?
Oh, man. I think it really depends
That's
on the
interesting.
kind of car. If it's a sports car, it might matter less on the interior. But it's got to at least have a minimum threshold of looking good on the outside, in my opinion, to get it. If it looks just absolutely horrendous, like an EQS, I'm just not... It's not happening.
And why the fuck are these guys making like a different car?
Yeah.
You already have the S-Class. You already have the GLE. Fucking put the battery on it and just call it the S-Class with the battery.
It's got to be some like Rockefeller BlackRock thing we don't know about. Like they're like, there's got to be some behind the scenes like you need to make the electric cars look bad because it doesn't make any sense.
It actually
just make it look the same and make it electric and it would sell better.
To me, it's the stupidest thing in the world because actually, and you would think, right, that they want to, like, in a conspiracy, we want to get rid of those ugly looking cars.
Yeah.
But the reality is they're pushing for those ugly cars to be the only cars that are
100%.
around. Which is the fucking craziest thing you'll ever see. Sorry about Fiona. She'll just walk around nonstop. So if you guys hear anyone panting, it's Fiona, not Sergio.
No, it's me.
But I don't understand why they went with that design when the reality of the electric car thing and all of that stuff, I think the electric car is really useful. I think the electric car is going to be way cheaper than what anyone imagines. And this is, to me, a dead sentence for Ford, for GM, for Stellantis, because the fact that they're dropping out of the electric car race and they're like, no, we're going back to normal. We're going back to hybrids. And they're taking a step back from it is because Tesla really understood the model.
Yeah.
Once you go and mass produce something at that scale, your costs come down like crazy.
100%.
So the Teslas are going to be cheap as fuck, not only to buy, but also to maintain. Because when you run one of those cars, how cheap is your Tesla every year? You don't have to do service.
Nothing.
You don't have to take it for the oil change and all these retarded things that everybody else is asking us to do.
Just 20 grand in tires a year. That's it.
I don't understand that. I really don't. I think your car's fucked.
I'm not the only one.
Really?
I'm not there's a lot of people complaining about the 21-inch wheels and their tires.
I have those.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't.
Maybe,
teach me, please.
Do you like do launch controls all the time?
Not anymore. Yeah, I don't get it.
You still burn through your.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Like since we last met, I've replaced the tires.
No.
I mean, it's not like they were new.
No,
last
no,
week.
I know. But that
they were they were so low on the inner sidewalls that they start leaking air out of the inside sidewalls of the tires.
Yeah, I don't.
And that's when I know it's time. Because you can't see the tread from the back because the outside looks fine and they look brand new. And then when it starts dropping in PSI, I'm like, all right.
No, I don't have
time
that.
to spend another $2,000. Fuck
I don't
me.
have that problem. It's really weird.
All right. Well,
and just for everyone to know,
be a
the electric car agenda comes from like the 70s. And it goes in. Because I made a video in 2017 saying electric cars are the future, but green energy is not. Like, that's fucking retarded. We need nuclear energy.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing to
100%.
understand. But let's pretend that you were in charge of creating money. Like, let's say that. And then let's pretend that you
Can
were
we pretend that in real life?
and then let's go and pretend that you were in charge of not only creating money, but also creating policies of where to spend the money.
Okay.
Okay? So then you can create a narrative so big. Guys, the world is going to end unless we spend $50 trillion in the next 30 years to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, I just told you the world's going to end unless we spend these 50 trillion, right? So you, as the guy who said that, can only print the $50 trillion. That's what they're doing with the electric thing, with the green energy and like all renewables and all this shit. That's all they're doing. They're just giving themselves money and their friends so they can get it back. It's the same thing with and we won't.
So
touch
how do
on
we
it.
get in on that?
You should have gotten in when they were like, for example, Fisker is you and me getting into this and stealing money from it.
Gotcha.
And he's brilliant because
he keeps getting huge funding rounds.
he got okay. So he got $1.3 billion from California.
Wow.
To build the fucking Karma, and it ended up being a hybrid. But he got the 1.3 billion. He got the nice house. He got his salary. He got everything. Right now, again, he went and opened Fisker. Again, there's a third-party company making the fucking car. He's not creating any new technology. He's not innovating in anything. He didn't even put the fucking moth doors that he promised us.
Yeah.
Well,
it makes sense now.
That.
The Ocean, the Fisker Ocean, is actually a reference to where all his bank accounts are from the.
In Malibu.
He gets the government, and then he just sends them offshore.
Absolutely.
And then here's a car.
And that's all. And by the way,
I'm just kidding. By the way,
No.
I don't know shit about his financial situation.
But Fisker is just playing the system. Like, he's not creating new technology.
Yeah.
He's getting the grants. And that's what you, like, I got to be a little cynical here, but that's where you want to be.
100%.
You want to be in the, dude, government, give me a check for $1.2 billion.
That sounds awesome.
And Fisker is the only one that's figured this out. And he's also taking advantage of his whiteness to be able to never go to jail for never delivering on anything that he's promising people. Like, the first thing that he did, because he also, let's say, Fisker is incredible, not as a CEO, not as a designer of cars anymore, not as a technologist, not as a salesman because he can't sell shit. But he's incredible at taking these easy money offers. So he did it the first time from the state of California, $1.3 billion, never paid it back. Elon, through Tesla, got 1.25, paid it back before he had to pay it back, right? Mm-hmm. And Tesla became a monster and all that stuff. And the second time that Fisker did it was, there was a gap where you could basically you could join a SPAC. You know what a SPAC is, right? So a SPAC is a special investment vehicle so that people can go public without having to go public through a third-party company. And Fisker was like, wait, there's free money right here too? I'll take it. I'll join the SPAC. And people gave him, again, billions of dollars, thinking that he was going to make his fucking bullshit car because no one learns anything in the world. And he took that money, too. The first thing that he bought himself was a $20 million house in Malibu.
So the podcast is over, and we are starting a car company. So
yes,
like it doesn't get much wider than this. So we could probably.
I know now that we have this talent, we should. It's gonna be Parker's White Car Company. That's it. It doesn't.
Trust us. We think we know what we're doing.
It's gonna be called Trust
EV. Yeah.
It's gonna be called Trust
EV.
Trust EV. We just made
Incredible.
$1 billion, Parker.
We just made a
crazy.
Fucking
$1 billion.
All right, I'm out.
And to close, I have one more thing to ask you. Sir just showed me right before the podcast.
Yeah, that was gross.
His dick, and it was fucking awkward because I don't understand why he's got that hook at the end.
I was trying to figure that the whole time. I've actually only been thinking
strange.
about that. It's
but aside
cool,
from that, he also showed me an AMG 1 for sale for $5.5 million.
Yeah.
Number one, I think that price is absolutely retarded for a car that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like that well. And I want to ask you, what do you think about these new hypercars, like the Valkyrie and the AMG 1? What are your thoughts? I left it alone right when they were coming out, before they came out, and I was like, I'm just walking away from this whole crap. But I want to know what you think. You've been around.
Yeah. So it's a very large engineering challenge to get a Formula One engine or a Cosworth V12 that revs to 10,500 RPM to be road legal and EPA compliant. So I think the engineering challenges that they set for themselves were so gnarly that the car took like 6-7 years, multiple years longer than they thought it was going to take. And then by the time they dropped, people were like, okay, we've like heard about this for so long.
Yeah.
The AMG 1 in person sounds horrible. I think from the videos I've seen in the cabin driving it, I think it sounds pretty cool with the transmission whine and being full throttle. But from the outside, idling, it sounds like a weed whacker, literally. And it just doesn't sound cool. It's not loud.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been around
The
it.
Valkyrie sounds insane.
Well, yeah. V12, Cosworth.
That car, I love it. I mean, I've never been in one or driven one. I'd love to. That, I think they kind of nailed it.
So this is what I've heard. AMG 1 is actually more functional than the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has like all these things you need to do in order to run it. Like it's crazy running a Valkyrie.
Yeah, I believe, is it the Valkyrie? One of them has like a $350,000 service after 1 year or something like that.
So I know the AMG 1 needs a new engine. You need to completely redo the engine after 21,000 kilometers.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Which is about 15,000 miles.
Yeah. And I would hit that. If I had that money,
Oh,
I
no
would
doubt.
drive that car and hit it. And then I need
Because
a
that's
new
the point.
motor.
Yeah. And I was talking to Jerk Collector.
Yeah.
He's got one. And he was telling me all about it and how much he loved the AMG 1 and all that stuff. But from what I hear, because he only said positive things about it, is they do have a lot of problems. The car has a lot of malfunctions. That, I mean, when you're mega loaded, some of these things don't matter, right? Like that's something that I realized with my Pagani, that no, this cannot be your trophy car. This should be just one of 100 cars that you have sitting in the garage.
Yeah.
And that's when it makes sense. Because if you're just relying on this fucking one thing to turn on every single time you get in it and the windows to work,
no chance.
Good luck with that. That's never
Yeah,
going to be the case. And I feel like these cars are so expensive that they should work perfectly. Because now it's $5.5 million to buy this fucking thing. While as a piece of art and a part of history, I get that you're asking for $5.5 million, but the AMG 1 should fucking function properly.
100%. And you can't drive it in the United States.
So how would you?
It's not street legal.
I know. So how would you compare? This is where, to me, they lost me because I had
Yeah.
a friend that was selling me his. He had 3 sticker, and he goes, "The only thing is, you can't use it on the streets. You should register it in Mexico." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, drive that in Mexico.
Yeah, so that I can get fucking murdered? No way. And I thought it was really stupid. So the question I have is, do you think these hypercars flopped, or do you think? Do you think the 2012 LaFerrari P1 was a better breed of a hypercars? What do you think as
man.
far as comparing those?
I think there was less options back then. It felt like those were the 3 options. And so it like took the world by storm. And there was this
Yeah.
narrative of all 3 were exact competitors, which I think was cool and boosted the hype. People are less, I haven't really heard like, oh, the new Holy Trinity, the Jesko and the AMG 1 and the Valkyrie, you know, there isn't really that. They took too long.
Oh, the Jesko.
But I mean, there's elements that are just as cool, if not cooler. I think whether the execution worked well or not is a different story. But the fact that they're trying to put a Formula One, a literal F1 motor into a road car is pretty freaking cool.
That is the coolest thing I've ever
Yeah.
heard. When Nico Rosberg and Lewis too, they spec their cars. They got one of their favorite
Yeah, that's
cars.
ridiculous.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
But other than if you're a dude that was able to get an engine from one of these winning cars that you use to win, like, I don't know how many GPs.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking spend $5.5 million so that my car doesn't work and then the fucking dude's got to show up and then the service is going to be $300,000. Like, are you kidding me?
No, it's pretty crazy.
I feel like they went downhill ever since I left. That's it. It's because of me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a little narcissist, so, you know, I got to go all balls deep. No, I think that's it for me right now with this one. Is there anything you want to add to this podcast?
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, that's good. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom, too. And sorry, guys, if you can hear, although I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. That's
Yeah,
beyond
Sergio, can you stop doing that?
yeah. Sergio's really horny behind the cameras, and he's just been doing
really
crazy stuff.
crazy.
No, I got my
Didn't change the shape much, but
Exactly.
still got the hook.
I got my old lady, my poor Fiona. She's 15 years old, completely lost. She's like Biden, walking around without knowing where she's walking.
She's
So,
killing it, though.
Just give
She's
her a
trying her
break.
best.
We'll give President Biden a break, so give Fiona a break. And that was Two Dudes, One Car. Thank you so much for listening.
Heck yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go.